Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be going over week 4 of the Covered in Grace Bible Study Grow Group. So let's get right into the message from week 4. All right, so for week 4, we were reading Proverbs, specifically Proverbs 13. And again, Proverbs is one of my favorite books of the Bible because we're just getting so many wisdoms. So I'm just going to share, using my clip notes, the theme of Proverbs 13. So the themes that we have are companionship and advice on guarding your mouth. I know in week 3, we talked about the importance of not always saying the first thing that comes to mind to get a response out of someone, but thinking before you speak. So just dive into Proverbs 13. So as always, I'm going to read the scriptures and then I'll give the breakdown of what each scriptures meant. All right, so let's start off with reading verses. Why did I just sound so country saying that? We're going to start off reading verses 1 through 3. So, a wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker does not respond to rebukes. From the fruit of their lips, people enjoy good things, but the unfaithful have an appetite for violence. And verse 3, those who guard their lips preserve their lives, but those who speak rashly will come to ruin. So let's just go ahead and break down verses 1 through 3. So here we're given advice on how to take control of your words for the sake of self and for the sake of others. Again, this is similar to Proverbs 18 verses 3 through 7 of last week that we covered. And then just lastly, whoever guards his mouth, which in the Bible they say his, but we know that means both male and female, preserves his or her life. And he who opens his lips comes to ruin. So essentially, here you just have to be careful with what you say because as believers, our lives are witnesses to others. A lot of times we might be the only person that other people see Jesus through. So we have to make sure that the things that we're saying match up to how Jesus is. All right, verses 4 through 11. A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. The righteous hate what is false, but the wicked make themselves a stench and bring shame on themselves. Verse 6. Righteousness guards the person of integrity, but wickedness overthrows the sinner. One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. 8. A person's riches may ransom their life, but the poor cannot respond to threatening rebukes. The light of the righteous shines brightly, but the lamp of the wicked is snuffed out. Where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. And lastly, verse 11, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. So let's go over to the cliff notes to break that down. So essentially, verses 4 through 11 are consequences of sin. And then in verse 9, we really focus on the attitudes towards godliness and how it connects to worldly success. So, everything that glitters isn't gold. Kind of going back to my social media analogy last week. Whenever we see people who've got the glitz and glam, they've got cars, purses, like you name it. It's not always the best. Like you've seen different people in the social media spaces. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. You've got a worm. You've seen the people in social media spaces a lot of times who will have all these big lavish things and then they're arrested by the feds. So everything that glitters isn't always gold. So that line of whoever gathers little by little and makes it grow, slow and steady wins the race. You do not have to be a millionaire by freaking next month. Take your time, get into your word, and whatever God has for you will truly be for you. All right, so let's wrap it up with verses 12 through 25. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Whoever scorns instruction will pay for it, but whoever respects a command is rewarded. The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, turning a person from the snares of death. Good judgment wins favor, but the way of the unfaithful leads to destruction. All who are prudent act with knowledge. but fools expose their folly. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a trustworthy envoy brings healing. Whoever disregards discipline comes to poverty and shame, but whoever heeds correction is honored. A longing fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but fools detest turning from evil. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Trouble pursues the sinner, but the righteous are rewarded with good things. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. Verse 23, an unplowed field produces food for the poor, but injustice sweeps it away. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. And verse 25, the righteous eat to their heart's content, but the stomach of the wicked goes hungry. So, a lot of great wisdoms right there. Particularly, my favorite is the one on leaving an inheritance for your children and also walking with the wise to become wise, because birds of a feather flock together, fools gonna ride with fools. Okay, so let's break that down. Themes of verse 12 through 25 here are companionship, taking advice, justice, and more consequences of sin. So, verse 13 gives us what you should do in any situation. The Bible tells us literally, word for word, it's right there. So, in any situation, whoever scorns instruction will pay for it, but whoever respects a command is rewarded. So, we might not always agree with the ways of the world, but we have to respect it, and that'll go a long way. Next, befriending godly people is much better than the risks of associating with those who reject God. And that's in verse 20. And I'll just read that again so we can connect that. That's the walk with the wise to become wise, for a companion of fools suffer harm. So, again, when you have godly people around you, godly counsel, when you are facing literally life's struggles. I was just on the phone earlier with one of my girlfriends, and she is truly just heaven sent. Like, I was feeling discouraged, and she just gave me so much encouragement by saying, "Hey, like, don't look at what's happening to you as like a punishment. Look at it as God is trying to prune you and get you to do more, because he wants more and has more for us." So, it's so important to have godly counsel around you to uplift you in those times of need. And that's why being part of community in your church, and even outside of your church, just building community of other believers is so, so important to the Christian life. And lastly, discipline, both from God and towards one's own children, is a good thing when done properly. Spare the rod, spoil the child. So my mom always says, you hate your child if you do not discipline them. As I'm raising my little one, I truly know that by disciplining him, it's making him better and it's developing character. Whereas if I just let him do whatever, he'd be crazy, which we see that a lot in kids today. Just saying. But that was week 4. Thank you guys for listening, and can't wait for you all to come back for week 5. I almost forgot to go over the key scripture that we had. So really quick, we had our key scripture reading, Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. And then those application questions. What kind of legacy do you want to leave for your children and your grandchildren? And then lastly, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. And that's Proverbs 13:11. And so I just asked the group, what will you invest in for your family's future? And so that isn't just spiritual wise, but it's also like, what are you investing in with physical money that we're being blessed with through God, because he's our ultimate resource? How are you using that to and bless your children and your family? So I ended up having a wealth advisor come on the call when we met, and she just really gave us great insight. I'll link her information below if you want to find ways to create your own wealth outside of the spiritual wealth that we gain by being part of God's kingdom. This is another way while we're here on earth to make sure that we're leaving an inheritance for our children's children. So that is finally it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.